Guilt-ridden friends stumble upon a secret Norse cult. An assassin hacks into the minds of unwitting pawns for corporate overlords. A group of university students face waves of undead Nazis. Keep watching to see which 13 horror movies you should really check out. Warning, this video contains fast, flashing images. Viewer discretion is advised, especially for those with photosensitive epilepsy. Horror is often about survival, but the ritual is not just about surviving a secret cult and their horrible hidden god. It's about survivors' guilt. As four buddies go on a hiking trip through the lush Scandinavian wilderness to honor their dead friend's memory, one of them is carrying around more than just heavy emotions. He had witnessed their pal's cold-blooded murder and did nothing to stop it. After one man's injury motivates the group to take a shortcut through the forest, the hikers soon realize they're being stalked by something unnatural. The tension rises as these four stray further and further from any marked trail, with their final judgment coming at the hands of a Norse myth. Be warned, this isn't Marvel's charming vision of Loki. In these dark woods, the Norse god's descendants are pure nightmare fuel. Breaking free from a cult that you were born into is hard work, even for the sturdiest of minds. It requires a lot of willpower and introspection, and finding connections is necessary. A partial sequel to the 2012 film Resolution, The Endless centers on two cult survivors who have each other, but not much else. Justin and Aaron, played by filmmakers Justin Benson and Aaron Moorhead, are brothers with differing recollections of their childhood experiences. Still adrift, they finally agree to visit the commune where they were raised, to make peace with their past and reconcile their memories with reality. Sure, Camp Arcadia is a little eccentric, but that does not explain the increasing sense that something horrible is lurking here. As the brothers explore their old stomping grounds, they find out that some unseen Lovecraftian horror watches over this strange, secretive cult. Whatever lurks there can control time, and more than one hapless soul is trapped in a bloody loop.
First of all, welcome to our little reunion of sorts.
Fewer people than ever know the horror of an old friend, who you haven't talked to in years, reaching out to invite you to their Tupperware party. Today, you're more likely to get roped into whatever crypto venture your cousin is into. Still, we're all more socially awkward than ever, and the invitation neatly capitalizes on that. This get-together's hosts look as if they walked off of a colonial South American retreat brochure. These hosts are indeed selling something to their trapped guests, a psychological healing seminar. However, our protagonist, Will, played by Logan Marshall Green, can't shake the feeling that this group is a cult and that they have his depressed ex-wife ensnared in something dangerous. Tightly paced, with shocking moments spared for exactly the right times, the invitation broke out of the film festival circuit thanks to Drafthouse Films. There are two excellent Black-led horror films that come to mind when we explore the inherent racism of gentrification. First is the 1992 classic Candyman, based on Clive Barker's short story, The Forbidden. The second, brought to life by Oz Rodriguez and Blaze Hemingway, is 2020's Vampires vs. the Bronx.
Bro, ain't nobody gonna care that Slim disappeared?
Why? Because he's a gangbanger?
Nah, homie. Because he's from the Bronx, like us.
It's full of snarky but loving homages to the vampire stories of yore, which include nods to the 1998 film Blade and shoutouts to the vampire author John Polidori and F.V. Murnau, director of Nosferatu. The heart of the movie is its plucky group of Bronx teens led by Miguel, played by Jaden Michael, the lil mayor of his neighborhood streets. Miguel doesn't know that the slimy real estate broker attempting to buy out the local bodega is serving a coven of vampires eyeing the Bronx as their next lair. Fortunately, his friends are pretty genre savvy, and they're ready to square off against the only thing worse than Portland trust fund hipsters, undead white people. Vampires vs. the Bronx is as funny as it is gory, maybe funnier. Brandon Cronenberg's 2020 feature, Possessor, a bit of near-future speculation and weird science, is a sleek monstrosity. A woman named Tasia Vaz, played by Andrea Riseborough, uses mind-hijacking technology to carry out assassinations on the behalf of a mysterious corporation, but she's having trouble keeping control. The film makes a point to compare her contractual existence with today's big tech, as Tasia's lingering humanity becomes a big issue for her corporate masters. Tasia's latest target is just as invasive as she is, someone assigned to collate marketing data from smart home devices, mindlessly staring into our homes during intimate hours. Possessor makes no distinction as to which of them is worse, blending their psyches into one body horror-infused mess. A movie about privacy and control that shoves the viewer's face into the bloody bones of its complex and relevant themes. A director's cut of the troubled yet excellent The Exorcist III does exist, but it's still not what writer-director William Peter Blatty envisioned when he set out to adapt his 1983 novel Legion for the screen. For a casual viewer, the theatrical cut remains a better ride, even with the unnecessary exorcism plot shoved into the third act.
There was still so much killing to do, and there I was, in the void, without a body.
A character actor with a gift for the eccentric and frightening, Brad Dourif elevates any film in which he appears. In The Exorcist III, Dourif is the Gemini killer, the spirit of a serial murderer who shares the body of the supposedly dead Father Karras, the empathetic but doomed priest of the original Exorcist film, played by Jason Miller. Glorying his bloody work at the behest of his demonic master, Dourif delivers one of the greatest monologues in horror history. Many people will recommend this movie with the caveat, "Oh, but this isn't for everyone." The Japanese gonzo horror flick Tokyo Gore Police is about a special police operation to stop a DNA-mutilating, serial-killing mad scientist. It's not only one of the most hilariously over-the-top gore fests ever, you have to get cool with a lot of weird stuff really quickly. There is a living human chair in this movie, and that is not even the weirdest bodily mutation. Somewhere in this horrific yet hilarious sea of blood is some commentary about police corruption and atonement. However, for the audience, Tokyo Gore Police is about lying in bed at night thinking about that human chair. Clive Barker's influential short story collection, Books of Blood, is a treasure trove for filmmakers who are willing to experiment. The Midnight Meat Train is from the first volume in the series and tells the story of a young man who moves to the big city and discovers a terrifying secret. The film adaptation changes and expands some of the lore in Barker's economical tale and dramatically ups the gore. The 2008 film's young protagonist, played by Bradley Cooper in an early role, is an ambitious photographer who stumbles onto the trail of a serial killer known as the Butcher, played by Vinnie Jones. The Midnight Meat Train is a showcase for Barker's ability to walk a nuanced line between serenity and raving horror. Grim and gritty with a monochrome palette and some great cinematography, it can be considered the best Barker adaptation since 1990's Nightbreed. When you hire Brian Cox to do a job, you know you are going to get an on-point performance. Bombastic and introspective at the right turns, he is a blessing to troll hunter director Andre Øvredal's second film, The Autopsy of Jane Doe. Cox plays Tommy Tilden, a small-town coroner guiding his son Austin, played by Emil Hirsch, through the nuances of their chosen profession. Unfortunately, their lives are upended when the body of an unidentified woman lands on their autopsy table. The Autopsy of Jane Doe uses sound and a claustrophobic setting to marvelous effect, with nearly the entire film happening inside a single autopsy room. Øvredal builds his scares subtly and kicks you in the gut once things get out of hand. Although the mysterious Jane Doe is as quiet and immobile as any dead person should be, the film's climax reveals that her hellish journey is just beginning.
Crew, I told you about.
Nice to meet you.
They're here for the pre-interview, right? Remember, Mom?
They want to make a movie about me.
Found footage horror can be tough to pull off. When it works well, it's spectacular. When it falls into cheesy pointlessness, there is no coming back. Nevertheless, it is a subgenre that's great for filmmakers with big ideas and small budgets. The Taking of Deborah Logan is an intelligent found-footage shocker taking on tough subjects, such as Alzheimer's disease and elderly dementia. The film uses horror to broach complicated topics such as aging, mortality, and the nature of the supernatural. It keeps a tight focus on its pitiable protagonist, played by Jill Larson, who undergoes a terrifying transformation with uniquely unsettling results. A tightly wound thriller, The Taking of Deborah Logan spirals into utter mayhem in its final act. Bill Paxton's short life was filled with a wealth of unique performances. From Aliens to the underrated vampire flick Near Dark, he was excellent at adding emotional impact and levity to horror.
I never killed a man before tonight.
I've seen you kill plenty.
Those were demons.
In his feature directorial debut, Frailty, Paxton stars as the tormented patriarch of the Meeks, a man who claims he serves God's will by destroying Satan's demons. Years later, his son, played by Matthew McConaughey, approaches an FBI agent to explain the holy madness that gripped his family. Frailty is an unassuming film with a finale that upends everything the audience has been led to believe. Are the murders really the result of the righteous wrath of God? Or have the Meeks family and the audience been manipulated all along? Either way, it is a good movie and a high point in Paxton's career. The only thing better than a zombie movie is a Nazi zombie movie. There are few cinematic experiences as satisfying as watching undead Nazis eat it in the goriest, most disgusting ways imaginable. In 2009, the Norwegian black comedy horror film Dead Snow gave us this very gift. Opening with a sequence vaguely reminiscent of John Carpenter's The Thing, the tone is set for a group of vacationing students to have the worst holiday of their lives. The friends set up camp at a remote cabin deep in the country wilds of rural Norway, only later becoming aware of the region's dark history of Nazi occupation in the Second World War. Entwined with this history is Norway's own zombie legend of the Draugr, intimately familiar to anyone who has played the 2011 video game The Elder Scrolls V: Skyrim. These treasure-obsessed undead are scary enough as they are. Making them Nazis adds levels of spookiness, but also makes their comically gruesome deaths even more entertaining. Knocking out waves of ravening undead has never been more cathartic. Check out one of our newest videos right here. Plus, even more SlashFilm videos about your favorite stuff are coming soon. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you don't miss a single one.